Oh hey, just reading my Chinese character dictionary. It gives you the steps on how to write Chinese characters. See all these notebooks? This is about 1/10 of my collection of notebooks filled with my practice of writing Chinese characters. Translation? It takes time. I'm going to get you going though, right after this. Live from my garage, this is Chinese with Mike. Okay, we are going to start talking about the oldest continuously used writing system in the world. That's right, that is writing Chinese characters, also called logograms. Now, we have 6 different kinds of Chinese characters. If you want to do research on those, I will have some included in this chapter of the book. I'm not going to spend time practicing writing Chinese characters in here, and in fact, after today, I am really going to try to stick to Pinyin just for the sake of it's faster and easier with communication. I will include the characters in the downloads, so if you want to practice the characters, I'll also have some exercises in the book, in the downloads. So for now, let me just show you this. Here's how characters come to be. Here's what's going on. First, you have those ancient pictograms we were talking about. Pictures that were drawn on, written on turtle shells, on bones. The first one is the word for sun. It kind of looks like a sun. I hope that looks like a fish. Moon, horse again, keeps coming back. These are known as gu zi. Gu means very old, ancient, so gu zi. Zi is a word. It means word. Zi. So every character is a zi. So these are gu zi. Then they evolved into traditional Chinese characters which were used everywhere until the 1950s. Now in the 1950s, China moved on to a simplified version. A lot of it was political, but they're easier to read. So let's look at how these gu zi, ancient characters, evolved into traditional characters. So here, the sun moves to this character we use today. Fish, this traditional character used today. Moon, horse, these are traditional characters. They're known as fan ti zi. Fan ti zi. Now, some of the fan ti zi are the same as the new simplified characters known as jian ti zi. Jian ti zi. So you can see the ones that are very simple with just a few strokes are the same, like this one, zhi, there's the pinyin. Zhi meaning sun. Yu, second tone means fish, yu, yu. And then moon, that's yue. Moon. Same word because again, not too many strokes. Now here with horse, you can see, and with fish, you can see that just a line replaces the 4 little, they're called dians, the little dots here. So same thing with horse, you can see how they've been replaced with a straight horizontal line, and these strokes inside have been simplified to simply a box. So again, in Pinyin, this would be zhi, yu, yue, ma. So again, we make that progression from gu zi to fan ti zi to jian ti zi. Now in Taiwan, in Macau, in Hong Kong, they still use these traditional characters, fan ti zi. And again, in China, they were used until the 1950s. But the government in the 50s changed to a more simplified version. I guess it was one reason it was more accessible to people who did not have a lot of education. But again, people argue that it was also a political reason because Taiwan, the government there was using the traditional characters. So today I'm going to show you the major stroke types that are used to create Chinese characters and some basic rules. But I showed you my notebooks. The way I learned, I sat in front of the TV and spent hours copying and copying and copying, and eventually you pick up patterns, and it's just something you can do for fun in your own time. So, I'll erase the board, I'll show you some strokes. Okay, some have argued that there are 31 different strokes. These would be brush strokes because the utensil before, in ancient times, to write characters was, a brush. But here, these are the major strokes you'd use to create a character. The first one, dian, is a dot. Then heng is a horizontal line. Shu, vertical line. Ti is kind of a rising stroke. Na, which is a stroke that's falling downwards to the right. And pie, a stroke falling downwards to the left. Now here, to make a little hook, go, go. Like remember, dog is go. Third tone here is first tone, go. Also the word for hook. Wan is kind of slightly concave to the left, and xie, slightly concave to the right. So these 9 strokes here are some of the major ones, and I'm going to show you how to put them in to practice now with writing a few characters. All right, just to give you an example, this character Yong, which means always or eternal, and yes, also a common tattoo, uses almost all these strokes. We have dian, heng, shu, go, ti, wan, pie, and na. So again, you start at the top. Generally, you work top to bottom, down, ti and wan, pie and na. And pretty much that's what you do. Now, how would I practice writing this character? It doesn't matter the names of these strokes. Let me make that clear. Don't worry about memorizing these names. They never come up in conversation. However, just practice the strokes. I'll have some good character dictionaries, my recommendations for the best ones that I've used to learn to write. They take you step by step. Again, you get the hang of it very quickly. Now for a couple more examples. Okay, I've shown you the strokes, the main strokes you're going to use now, just the order in which you make them. So here, you go top before bottom. So for example, there's number 1, there's number 2, here's number 3. I'm working from top to bottom, left before right. Here I've got a left stroke and then one on the right. Bottom stroke last. Just for example, I complete the bottom stroke last to kind of finish the word. Horizontal before vertical. Here's number 10. That's why this is a common hand signal for number 10 in China. So here, horizontal before vertical. Inside the box before completing a box. If you have a box like this, you'd say do this. Here's the character for guo, like zhongguo. I completed the box at the bottom after I finished inside. I don't finish the whole box first. And then the center before the sides. Here you go. There's a shu with a go, with a hook, and then here I do the sides, and that would be the character for small, xiao. So if you really want to learn the writing, here's my advice. Get a lot of notebooks. Find some time, you can do it anywhere, and just practice over and over and over again. That's what I did, sometimes up to 8 hours a day. You could spend 10 minutes a day, 10 hours a day. It just depends on what you're interested in. If you just want to communicate, you don't need the writing. In fact, you could even chat with people on the computer by typing in pinyin, and then the characters will show up based on what you've written. So you don't even need to worry about that. In fact, a lot of people are forgetting characters in China right now because the internet typing has made it so convenient to just type it in pinyin and then the character shows up. So there's not even as much memorization involved. But anyway, I'm not going to spend any more time on the writing in the video lessons. I will include supplementary materials in the chapters, exercises where you can practice writing. Maybe some of you have aspirations of becoming a tattoo artist. Well, you might need to know. So these are I gave you the strokes, I gave you the origin of the characters. We're going to close the book on the strokes so in the video, and I'll probably stick to writing in pinyin a lot for the rest of these lessons, just because it's faster, and again, the writing is something you can do on your own time. So with that said, I got to run. See you with lesson 9. Have a good one.